everybody, and welcome back to another episode of two extremely annoying and entertaining men who are slightly boring, one with a more receding hairline than the other, who own two expensive microphones and a table. Today I'm here with my co-host, Slightly Boring Guy 2, and obviously I am increasingly boring Guy 1. Today we're going to be speaking about a bunch of topics. We're going to be speaking about, the LGBT community and all that good stuff, and also why women shouldn't have rights. Wrong podcast. No, we're not like that TikTok, but the bald guy, we're not him. We speak about, like, theories and cats and stuff. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Today we're going to be speaking about... Sorry, what was that? Like, cats, like, big, fluffy things. Really, don't. I'm starting to feel the urge. To say something and admit to something. You okay? I'm going to admit to something, Steve. I'm going to admit to something. It's okay. I don't want to do this. Stop it. I just feel the need to let this know. We got two expensive microphones, and I just need to let you know that I've got the worst opinion possible, and let you know that I've got these weird impulses about cats. Shane Dawson. Okay, in the last year, I have spoken about Shane quite a lot. Well, not this year, but last year. Last year, I was a former fan turned critic of Shane Dawson, and I pretty much said everything you possibly could say, and I think to an understandable point of where some people said that I was over-speaking about my opinion on Shane Dawson. And to be honest with you, I can completely understand that. I may or may not have made one too many videos about Shane Dawson last year, and I even did a video about his old Christmas movies, which I enjoyed, I thought it was a fun video, yet some people thought I was going too far, so I said to myself, you know what, Fraser, this year, you're not going to speak about him. You're not going to speak about him much at all, if not completely, never again. And then I recently made a discovery that Shane Dawson had actually created a new project. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, Shane Dawson has started a podcast. Yes, if there's one thing that this world needed, of course, it was another podcast.
Oh no, this is horrible!
Sorry, this isn't even a hatred towards Shane Dawson here. This isn't a hatred towards anybody. Actually, it's just a hatred towards podcasts. There are just too many, and I feel like we need, I say it in every video, to ban podcasts.
This is a test of whatever this is. How does everybody feel? Can you hear me?
I feel positive. I can hear you.
Okay.
And I'm glad to be a part of whatever it is.
But yes, this is, to me personally, a very interesting career path for Shane Dawson to follow because, ironically enough, podcasts were the particularly main reason Shane Dawson's career kind of, did the things that it did. It kind of exploded and just turned into absolute ashes. That's kind of the reason the podcasts that he recorded 5 or so, 6 or so, 8 or so years ago came back to haunt this man. And obviously that led to a lot of controversy on the internet, a lot of people speaking about the things said on Shane's old podcasts, but most importantly it led to, God rest his soul, Cheetah the cat getting a restraining order on Shane Dawson. I miss him so much. After the incident, things just were never the same. And okay, obviously, that's a joke. I think that might be a joke. It probably will happen eventually, but yes, it's a joke. And I wasn't really gonna make a main channel video speaking about this podcast because, it's a podcast and there's nothing you can really say about a podcast, right? Okay, obviously not. Recently I made a video speaking about Andrew Tate, who goes viral every now and again for saying the absolute worst possible thing that you can say on a podcast. And to me personally, there has been this ongoing trend of random dudes on the internet getting expensive microphones, sitting in a room and starting a podcast. And usually on these podcasts, they will say the worst possible things that anybody known to mankind could possibly say, and it's just getting worse and worse as the days go. So to hear Shane Dawson has actually started a podcast after doing that last video, I was kind of, pushed into more of a temptation of making this video. And despite my previous critiques of this man, I'm actually going to put them in, not really put them aside, but I'm just kind of going to ignore them for most of this video and actually just review this podcast as a thing, because there has been a lot of criticism, there has been a lot of people saying that this is the worst thing on the planet. Shane Dawson's new podcast is a disaster. Shane Dawson's new podcast is a mess. If this is true, we're going to find out. What we're going to do is go through the first 3 episodes and just kind of take out little sprinkles and review it and just kind of see what this thing is. Could this be a groundbreaking discovery of a podcast where it actually makes me like them? No. No, it won't be, because I hate podcasts, but it'll be something. Now, I've watched every episode that they've released so far. Yes, I am extremely mentally ill, but, I sat through it, and the intro alone, the moment I saw it, was like, this just screams, absolutely screams at me, millennial.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if that's just me being nitpicky. It's not even a criticism. It's just saying that I don't know why, but the overdramatic guitar, that I'm a millennial, it just kind of screams it. Millennials watching, am I making any sense? Because maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm actually not making any sense, and maybe this is just me being incredibly stupid. Or maybe it's both. Who knows? But now you're probably wondering, who does this podcast consist of? Obviously, we've got the internet's favourite man. I don't know if I can actually make that joke, but it's the internet's former favourite man, Shane Dawson, and it also features 3 other members.
All right, this is a test of whatever this is. How does everybody feel? Can you hear me?
I feel positive. I can hear you.
Okay.
And I'm glad to be a part of whatever it is.
Ryland?
I'm here.
Chris?
I hate my voice. This is terrifying.
So yes, that is the podcast. What you have here is Shane Dawson, Ryland Adams, Shane's brother Jerid, and Chris the cameraman for everybody else on the podcast. Now, in terms of the topics and things spoke about on this podcast, it's basically the stuff you'd find on Shane's main channel back in 2017, and now the stuff that Shane is kind of making again in 2022. It's the theory stuff, it's the, I guess, random videos and random topics with the friends stuff, just the old sort of Shane Dawson content, but in long form with expensive microphones. Basically, if you enjoyed Shane Dawson's content in 2017 and you haven't left him after everything that happened, you're probably going to like this podcast. But what I actually do find entertaining about this podcast isn't actually the content in itself. No. It's actually the fact that this podcast is now being uploaded onto a channel called Shane 2. Now, this channel is actually quite an old channel because you may know it as Shane Glossing. Yes, back in the era of where Shane Dawson went through a phase of pretending to kind of be interested in, I guess, the beauty industry. Shane used to like beauty because it made him lots of moolah, and it seems that it no longer makes him moolah, so he's no longer interested in glossing it up with Shane Dawson. It was a weird time, wasn't it? But obviously there have been a lot of criticisms of this podcast, as I've mentioned so far. People saying this thing is a disaster, people saying this is going to be a thing that ends Shane's career, and I'm like, guys, I really don't think that there can be something else which is going to end this person's career. Like, after everything at this point, if you're still a fan of Shane, I really am struggling to see what is going to actually now make you not want to be a Shane. I'm not even, like, shitting on people for being a fan of him. I'm just saying, like, after everything, I don't think there's going to be another thing which is going to massively change the minds of these people. But the main thing I've noticed that a lot of people, I guess, criticizing the podcast for and saying what's going to be the downfall of this podcast is actually Shane's brother, Jerid. Shane Dawson's brother being called Jerid is probably the least shocking thing I've actually discovered on this podcast. But yeah, people seem to think that this is the dude that's going to, I guess, destroy everything in the life of Shane Dawson, because he is, as the millennials love to say, the anti-woke guy. You know, he's the man who isn't woke. He isn't a part of the woke mob. And I absolutely hate the word woke with every essence of my body, but to be honest with you, a big topic on this podcast is actually the conversation of being woke and being cancelled.
You know, I just want to be just one of the ingredients in this delicious cake.
Aw. On a scale of being canceled, how scared are you?
You know,
Of giving your real opinions, unfiltered.
I feel like the only way we can stop the culture is to be uninhibitedly honest with each other, right?
Wow.
So, you know, I think as long as we just keep it 100, I'm not really too worried about it, you know?
I'm going to keep it like 70.
I'm
gonna keep it like
70 is safe, you know?
Like, listen.
I'm raw dogging it. I'm just going in. I'm barebacking.
Yeah, I can actually see why this guy is the guy perceived as the one that's probably going to get the podcast, I guess, cancelled or shut down or ruined or whatever you want to describe it as. But also, it doesn't just come from that, but it also comes from the fact that Shane's brother actually has his own YouTube channel, which Shane has featured on. And this channel's, it's a little bit strange to me. It peddles a lot of theories out there, which will lead you down some rabbit holes to some very dangerous and backwards beliefs. Some theories out there which necessarily I think shouldn't really be allowed on the website, because I know a lot of people personally where these theories have led them to some real dangerous places. And honestly, I'm a little bit concerned that Shane has kind of allowed this to be peddled onto his own channel, whilst also allowing his brother, I guess, to come onto this podcast and potentially speak about other dangerous theories. It just kind of makes me worried that, you know, some people will eat this up and go down some rabbit holes, which concerns me. And I'm not really going to say why, because some buzzwords will get this video struck down, but you can probably guess where I'm going with this. But as I said earlier, I don't think that people who are still fans of Shane Dawson are now going to have their minds changed by me or anybody else out there, no matter what is said on this podcast. In fact, I do believe that this podcast is a very good thing for Shane's career, as I mentioned previously, because I think this podcast will actually save his career. And the question is why is that? Well, it goes to the thing that I previously mentioned of the millennials. And look, this may seem like this crazy theory. It may sound like an actual Shane Dawson theory, but I genuinely believe that the audience Shane Dawson now has, his main, 90% of his audience, are from 2010, 2015. These are the fans that grew up watching Shane Dawson. These are the fans that come up from his OG days. And we don't even need to speak about the OG content of Shane Dawson. We don't need to do that today. But, you know, nevertheless, they are OG fans. Because I do believe the audience that Shane cultivated in 2018 and 2019 was the beauty community audience. And this audience were far more drama orientated. And because of that, and because of the 2020 drama, they have now all, in my opinion, left Shane's channel. Whereas his previous OG audience, the millennials, stayed, as they've been watching Shane for his entire career, witnessed everything, not just the beauty and drama stuff, but basically his entire life on the internet. And I don't think the 2020 stuff would be enough to convince the millennials to leave. And you know, I love millennials. For the most part, they're alright, they're decent. Some of you are millennials, sorry to say, but you are. And I think that these are the people who now like Shane's content.
I would say out of this group, you are probably the most woke?
Now, this is a word I've noticed a lot of people above the age of 25 using. The phrase woke, it's often used as a bit of an insult of, ha ha ha, you're woke, the Gen Z kids on TikTok, they're all woke. And in my opinion, being woke is, I guess, being a part of, I don't know, leftist culture, having leftist ideologies and beliefs, and just caring about the things going on in the world. This is something that a lot of, I guess, older people, millennials, boomers, like to kind of use as a way to insult people in Gen Z. I guess the whole term of woke is basically having fake beliefs about caring about everybody in the world. That's kind of what my perspective on when somebody calls somebody woke is. It just seems to me always to be an insult. And just based on Shane's brother's channels and his content and his beliefs alone, I imagine that he's somebody that really uses this word as an insult, and we will kind of go further into that in this channel. But I do kind of find it ironic that a lot of these people like to be like, ha ha ha, you're woke, you're woke. But then you've got like the most woke shit on Shane's brother's channel. Like this stuff here, like to me, if you're going to use woke as an insult, this entire channel, the flat documentaries, stuff like that, that's what woke is if we're going to use it as an insult. Just people who I guess think that they're above everybody in terms of perspective and knowing the whole truth about humanity. I'd say that that is when you can use woke as an insult, not when people just care about other human beings. The main representation of Shane Dawson's audience now most likely consists of people between the age of 26 and 35. I'm not joking, I'm not trying to be assumptuous. When you go to the guy's comment section, you can see by just looking at the profile pictures, I'm not shaming, but a lot of these people are clearly not in their early 20s or in their teens. And if you are, I'm very sorry, but some of you just look like, not in a bad way, but you look like adults. You look like millennials. And the thing is about millennials, they bloody love podcasts.
I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast.
But yes, with millennials, the actual reason I'm bringing them up isn't because they're annoying. It's actually because they grew up with long-form content. They didn't have their brain plagued by TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. No. Even my generation, I'm kind of on the cusp of millennial. I just managed to edge into Gen Z. But even I grew up with a lot of long-form content, and my brain isn't plagued to the point of where I can't sit through a podcast. Whereas Gen Z, I just refuse to believe the majority of Gen Z are actually listening to podcasts. You guys have had your brains melted by TikTok algorithms, so I don't think that it even matters to you that Shane's doing a podcast. But with the millennials, they will consume this. The ones who are still fans of Shane will consume this content, and podcasts, trust me, are extremely profitable. Probably some of the most profitable things is create a podcast. You can get brand deals, and also advertising spaces on podcasts are just ridiculous because it's obviously really long-form content, and just in general, the watch time helps your channels out as well. So with these people watching this content, consuming it, taking it in, maybe even click on the links and potential future brand deals, it's obviously going to help Shane's career. And I'm not criticizing that, but I'm just stating an obvious fact that these people who are willing to watch this long-form content are naturally going to help boost Shane's career and ultimately save Shane's career. But I am a little bit concerned by that, because this isn't Shane building his career on beauty again. This is him building his career on a podcast which is seemingly centered around, as I said earlier, theories. And with somebody like his brother being a host, I can't help but be a little bit worried that a lot of people are going to be exposed to some deep, dark rabbit holes. Whether if this guy believes every single one of them, I think it is a little bit worrying that this guy is on here, because he is seemingly allied with a group of people who, in my opinion, have beliefs that are centered around very dangerous ideologies.
You know, the meetup was pretty surreal, I have to be honest. I mean, going into it, I really just wanted to interview some people, get some insight on what brings people into this movement, how it affects their beliefs in their life, their reality around them. But the variable that I hadn't anticipated was the fact that this video that I had done with Shane was the highest viewed video on YouTube regarding the topic, and it really was a huge moment for this movement. It put me into a certain light in the community that I didn't realize I was in. People were approaching me, telling me that the video changed their life and that they showed it to all their friends, and that really put some pressure on me. You know, it kind of made it difficult at first. I mean, right away people asked me, "Are you a flat earther?" It was almost like I felt this need to say yes. And the truth of the matter is, even in the video that I did with Shane, I never say I believe in the flat earth. You know, I say that I love the ideology around it, that I think there's a lot of positive that can come from people learning about it.
So yeah, he basically went to a convention speaking to people about flat earth, and this was his take from it. But I'm going to play another video from a friend of mine, Pinely, of where he shows a clip of where another person went to flat and basically uncovered a bit of a darker truth behind a lot of the people in that movement of where they attach these flat earth beliefs to.
He says that one of the things that he appreciates the most about this society is the sense of community that they have going on, and the ideology that's behind what they're doing, not even the shape of the earth itself. But yeah, the video really paints this lovely sense of community and this group of people that's just there for each other all the time.
Talking to these people, it rejuvenates a sense of spirituality. It gives them a sense of awakening into their perspective. And there's not a lot of negative you can say about that.
And that really made me think of this all gas, no brakes video that I watched a few years ago, where he goes into an actual flat gang convention. I'm not sure, but I think the dude that I mentioned at the beginning, Mark Sargent, I think he might have been involved in that convention and like organizing it and stuff. Now, Andrew Callahan over here is a very smart guy, so what he does mainly is go to these people and he asks them this very, very simple question. Who's doing the lying?
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 The simplicity of that question is absolutely genius, because I feel like it leaves so much lovely room for the interviewee to say exactly what's on their mind. So let's see, what kind of answer do these people give? Let's see this sense of community that Jerid was talking about. Let's see, where do you really go at the end of this rabbit hole?
Who's doing the lying?
Some gravelers, you know. Most Jewish people are just...
It's all mind control. You got a Kimmel and you got a Fallon, and I think both of those are Jewish back names.
The Jews are in fucking... Yeah, they freaking control all of everything.
They're the scariest people I've met.
Really? In what way?
Dude, that shit's all about Jews.
There's not a lot of negative you can say about that.
So, yeah, I'm a little bit, in my opinion, understandably concerned that Shane is platforming this dude and has platformed this guy for a very long time, given the fact that this could lead a lot of people out there down some deep, dark rabbit holes. That's basically my concern with this podcast. Now, I am going to continue reviewing it, but yeah, I did just want to kind of push this, that I am worried that there is a dangerous element to this podcast, and whether that's intentional or not, I'll let you guys kind of debate in the comment section. But yeah, this is my theory behind Shane, the millennials, and why I think it's dangerous. But I think it's time to actually go back to the content and away from my crazy theories. And a big thing that a lot of people were getting upset about with this podcast was some of the things spoken about in the first episode, and it brings us back to the debate of being woke, because a good chunk of this episode was just debating about who's the most woke and what woke actually is, and I'm just sat there watching this thinking, why am I watching a bunch of middle-aged people debate over who's woke? And I'm not age shaming here, but it does just seem to be this very consistent thing of people above the age of 25 just using the insult as of woke as a way to upset people. And it's like, guys, is there really anything wrong about actually caring about, I guess, woke issues?
I would say out of this group, you are probably the most woke. I would say that. In a way.
I would say most politically correct.
Yes.
Like, he is most in line with the values of that in which would be a correct person navigating the world.
Is that what woke is? You know, because I feel like...
I don't know.
I feel like earlier, because I want to, I think it's an interesting topic, but earlier we were all talking about things, and that was brought up, how Chris is the most woke because he typically goes with what's politically correct. I thought being woke was almost the opposite, but it is kind of, right? It is being politically correct depending on your political viewpoints, or which political viewpoints does it align with to be woke?
We're also projecting on Chris that he's woke. He might also just be the quietest and not screaming his opinions at all time. Like me?
No. Okay, here's why I say Chris is woke.
I feel like I'm witnessing the podcast representation of when it's Christmas Day, it's like 7 p.m. and your uncle and your granddad have had a little bit too much to drink and they start fucking ranting about the youth of the world, the TikTok generation, those TikTok kids, the Gen Zs, the woke lot. It's like, well, why? But okay, either way, so far, it's not obviously a disaster. It's not something which I would consider to be the worst podcast in existence. But you can kind of take that sense of something will eventually go wrong. Some crazy shit will be said, probably from Shane's brother. And I can kind of get a sense that even they're worried about that, given that Shane has actually said in some of the first episodes that, yeah, he's worried that they could stumble into trouble again.
But I think the thing we should start with first is our biggest insecurity about doing this podcast and why we think it might be a bad idea. I'll go first. I think for me, I'm a little nervous to talk openly again about random things because I don't want to censor myself, but also like back then I was trying to say the craziest thing I could to like get people to laugh, and I don't really do that anymore. I guess I should though, to be entertaining, but I just don't think I'm going to do that.
Well, yes. Yeah.
So I'm not going to be screaming crazy things. Jerid can do that.
I'm in.
Just to interrupt here whilst editing it, I was listening to it again, and it's clear to me that Shane is obviously aware that Jerid has some very, very, I guess, crazy and strange beliefs, and it's worrying that Strange is aware of that, but he's kind of allowing that onto his million-subscriber platform. I genuinely don't think Shane realizes how many people watch him and listen to him, and kind of exposing these things to a large audience is very dangerous in my opinion, and very worrying. I think maybe if you're coming at it like a way of critical thinking, that's understandable, but in this case it seems with Jerid he does believe a lot of insane things.
So yeah, my big insecurity is that I'm going to be boring and that I'm going to censor myself too much, and also that I'm going to say something that's going to get me in trouble, and then everybody's going to be like, see, he hasn't changed, even though I'm literally 33, almost 4 years old, so I've definitely changed. And also not being able to get guests, because but we don't really need guests, right, if we have each other. But like, is Caitlyn Jenner going to want to come?
Now, when I first heard this, I thought, you know what? Yeah, that kind of makes sense, because obviously some people are hypersensitive in this world. But at the same time, I then thought to myself, well, firstly, Shane's audience there, as I said now, aren't really going to get offended by near enough anything at this point, given everything that's already been said by Shane in the past. So I don't really know why he'd be worried on that aspect. But then you add in like the equivalent of the fact that Shane is also doing this on an edited podcast that isn't live. So if he says some crazy shit, he could just edit it out. But then I thought, well, what if he doesn't actually realize that that is crazy shit, and he only realizes the terrible thing that he thinks he may say is terrible after people point it out? And now I'm starting to think, what crazy things are on this guy's mind of where he's this worried that he's going to spew it out accidentally on an edited podcast? Like, it's not really a criticism, but it's more of a concern. Like, if you're this worried, then maybe just don't do the podcast, because I'm starting to get a little bit concerned that you have some mental shit that you are going to start spewing, I don't know, 10 episodes in, of where we're going to start to see a really weird side, and I think Shane seemingly knows that himself. But it is clear that Shane is absolutely terrified of anything going wrong here, and I can kind of get it, because after everything, this is probably his last hurrah on social media. Like, I feel like if Shane does something truly terrible, this will probably be it. It's done, it's finished. I'm kind of even surprised that there's even another hurrah, but ultimately social media, as I said, works wonders. You know, if you get cancelled, you can always work your way out of it by just uploading videos, and that's what's happening here. And that's not a criticism, that's just an observation. I'm trying not to be overly critical here, but even Shane is clearly aware of this, considering he keeps speaking about being exposed and even the mention of apology videos.
If I ever need to say something right, I'm calling you. Chris?
Yeah, next time I need an apology, which will be after this podcast goes up, I'm going to hit up you.
I mean, fair enough, Shane, but little request. Next time, make sure the apology's on the toilet, because I miss that style. I miss that style. So, bring it back, and I'll appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate. All right, cheers. But yeah, the rest of this episode is basically a bunch of speculation about a bunch of crazy theories, a bunch of speculation about friends and family and stuff like that, and quirky drama things going on in the world right now. And to be honest with you, it kind of floats back to what I mentioned previously about this being like a weird cycle. YouTube is this thing of where everything always goes back to where it is now. Like, in 10 years' time, Minecraft YouTube may have died, but it will eventually come back. Vlogs eventually, vlog content on YouTube will eventually come back, and just like Shane Dawson, he's currently in the cycle of being in his 2017-esque content. It's focused on his friends, it's focused on theories, and it does just seem to be the never-ending YouTube cycle. But I do think we need to be aware with this style of content that if it's going to be publicized on the internet, then we do need to be safe and critical about the things that we're speaking about, because I genuinely believe that a lot of theory-based content from 2016, 2015, and 2017 has led a lot of people down a lot of dark paths, even if the creator of that content did not intend for that. So yeah, I think we should be a little bit concerned about the style of content. Like, yeah, it is the same 2017 stuff of him with friends chatting and gossiping, but at the same time, when you're dealing with theories, I think you need to be a little bit cautious, especially with the ones Shane's brother has spoken about. Right now, it's not really that crazy, but I imagine it will continue to get more progressively crazy as more episodes come out. But yeah, this is the 2017 regen of Shane Dawson's content. I mean, I guess in 3 years' time, we may actually finally get TanaCon 2. It kind of looks in line with the terrible channel name of Shane 2. Nice. But yes, speaking of 2, we now move on to episode 2 of the podcast. Episode 1 really wasn't anything terrible, it wasn't anything offensive, and I genuinely can see why people would enjoy this. So yeah, I'm becoming a bit of a podcast reviewer right now, and that's why we're going to get into the second one, the episode 2 about more theories, scams, and just in general, 2017-esque Shane Dawson content. And it's got 1 million views, to be fair, which is, I mean, interesting considering the majority of the episode is just them speaking about this.
Okay, real quick, guy talk. How do we all take care of urination while we're driving? Do any of us have a regimen?
Yes, Shane pulls out a cup and starts peeing, and I scream at him. And then it's like to the top, and he's just going to put it next to me, and I'm going to be like,
Can we not do this? First of all, when I was getting canceled, at like the peak of it, before I like deleted all the apps off my phone because I didn't want to see any of it, like one of the things people were canceling me for, it was like, and by the way, have you seen that he pees in bottles? And I'm
Get
like,
a life.
This is what I'm like.
That's what I mean, is get a fucking life.
Well,
if you're mad at somebody for peeing in a bottle, guess what? Your boyfriend, your husband, your fiance, they all fucking do it.
He's peeing in Word.
I'm sick of having to cut around your peeing because it's so not an issue. It's like every guy does it.
Ryland, relax. I don't think that every single man on the planet does that, and I think you are just being extremely presumptuous right now. I think that's just a stupid thing to say, isn't it? Like, it's just weird, but be right back. Sorry, what were we saying? This whole long tangent about urinating in bottles and cups goes on for like way longer than it really should have, and I'm a little bit weirded out. Like, am I the only one that doesn't piss in bottles and cups? Like, if I need to go and there's nowhere to go, I'll usually just hold it in. And hey, if I'm like, I don't know, in a forest, I'll go in a bush or something, and that's as far as I'll go. But I feel like, am I crazy? Please comment down below if I'm going mental right now. But personally, I don't participate in the urination of bottles and cups. I usually just go in a toilet. And I think a lot of celebrities need to start to realize that you go to the toilet, not in a bed or a cup or a bottle, but in the toilet.
It's not that I'm always peeing in bottles. It's
No, cups are the move, by the way. That's a life hack. Cups are the move for sure. I got a pee cup, stand behind it. But yeah, you know, if you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm not gonna like damage my bladder because I gotta pee too bad. But I think it desensitizes my bladder, because now my bladder just feels like any time is an okay time. I don't put much restraint on myself, you know? There's not many scenarios where I have to pee and I'm not able to.
I love that the one that they defined as the most woke in the group is the one that's clearly visibly the most uncomfortable with this. Does woke mean not like that you care about leftist ideologies? Does woke just now mean that you piss in toilets? Because I'm a little bit concerned, guys. Woke doesn't mean that you need to like piss in a toilet. It means that you just care about things, and I'm kind of confused to why this whole thing is even in the podcast. Like, I don't know. It's just a little bit weird. It is a little bit strange. Again, I'm not being. Well, no, I am being critical. I'm being critical of the fact that some people just don't know how to go to the toilet. Clearly, but pissing in bottles aside. In this episode, the whole topic of cancellations comes up again, and again reiterates the fact that Shane is clearly terrified by this, and as much as I guess he can pretend that, you know, he's, I guess, moved on from 2020, I'm not 100% confident on that, which is fine, but it is strange to me that he's like, oh no, I'm completely over this, but no, actually, I'm actually shit scared of being cancelled again.
But I love that you're kind of an asshole, because if I was with somebody who was sensitive, like too sensitive, can you imagine just me and them on the couch crying like, I'm canceled? I know. Okay, like literally, like that's what would have, if me and Chris, like keeping it real, if I was with Chris and I was and it was 2020 and shit was going down, Chris, what would you have done? We would have been
Shane, if there's anything I'm personally going to cancel you for, it is for pissing in bottles. And I know I keep bringing it up, but I'm just a little bit confused, guys. But either way, after this whole cancellation thing, they start to move on to a not so controversial topic around NFTs. Yes, something more actually pointless than podcasts.
Last thing before we take a break, I had a meeting with my. I have an agent. I know it's shocking that they didn't drop me. So I had a meeting with my agent like a year and a half ago, whenever NFTs started to become like a thing.
Sorry.
I don't even think I told you about this. And I had a meeting with them, and they were like, so NFTs and like, you know, exclusive things. And like, if you have any weird exclusive things to put as an NFT. And I was just like, I mean, I don't know if this is too weird, but like, what if we put like my I know as an NFT?
Oh no.
Like, that's kind of iconic.
There's not really much I can say about that other than, yeah, I guess this is the podcast, Pissing in Bottles, Wild Theories, and whatever whatever that is. But honestly, this episode and then even the episode 3, which I've gone through, it is just a bunch of weird things getting brought up. Just like, not really particularly any offensive. It's more just the debate about being woke, complaining about woke culture, speaking about Gen Z, stuff like that. And yeah, it's like, it's just cringy. There's nothing particularly offensive about it so far. It is just a case of if a bunch of millennials got on a sofa with some expensive microphones and sat around having a conversation. We're supposedly in a pandemic, but I feel like the real pandemic we are in is that millennials are now discovering how to use microphones and they are creating way too many podcasts. We need to find a cure. We need to find some form of thing which will fix it, because this is getting to become a problem. This is getting to become a serious issue, and I'm almost 26, and like I'm starting to get some urge to create a podcast. So like this isn't like just a millennial thing. I think this is just becoming like 30. Like if you become 30, you just get these weird impulses. Like at a young age you go through puberty, and then I feel like you go through second puberty at 27, but instead of growing like your body, you grow a podcast, and it's just concerning, and I really think we need to speak about this. Please, guys, I can't keep covering these podcasts. It's getting too much for me now. Trisha Paytas is going to start one next, and then the world will truly implode. But in seriousness, I do think this podcast will probably create controversy every now and again, just like how Ryland's podcast does. People like to speak about it, which is completely understandable, including myself. But this time I think it is a little bit different, because rather than a dramatic viewpoint, rather than speaking about something that happened in the YouTube community, as I've said throughout this entire video, I think most of the controversy will come from Shane's brother, especially when he has videos on his own channel speaking about things like this.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of Let's Mind Travel, where we will be going deep into the that living amongst us and controlling the population at large is a highly sophisticated race of lizard people.
Now, whether he actually believes in these things, I'm not 100% too sure, but when you look at his channel and how he bases his whole thing around all of these sort of crazy theories, going to these conventions, getting to meet them, empathizing with them, saying that they, I guess, are really good people, I can only help but think that this guy is somewhat believing these style of beliefs, and I think that's a little bit worrying and concerning that this guy is now on a platform speaking to millions of people every single week, so naturally I do feel like he's going to be the one to breed the most controversy.
The reason it's so big is it's not just one topic, it's everything. It's all encompassing. When you start digging into the flat theory, you realize that everything you've been told is a lie. You question all of your beliefs. You question everything that's been told to you, and the farther you go, the more your perception of reality changes.
What I take from that is somebody that clearly does believe in this stuff, but also at the same time acknowledges that this just isn't about the Earth not being like a sphere or something. It's about so much more. It's about such darker, deep-lining theories which can lead to some terrible places and lead to people becoming just in general awful. There are a lot of theories out there that truly are disgusting, and I recommend you watch Pineley's video about this where he goes deeper into this sort of topic. But yeah, I think it is worrying that this guy who clearly believes in this stuff, clearly is friends with people that believes in this stuff, is being platformed. That's my main worry from this. That's my take from this. Overall, so far, it's really not that bad. Like, to conclude this video, the podcast really, it's fine. It's not particularly offensive, but I am a little bit worried that it is being catered around theories, and I am worried that as it progressively continues, it's going to go down darker paths. You can't just keep speaking about Cheeto theories every single episode. It's probably going to end up getting darker and more crazier, which worries me because more people will be exposed to that and will potentially go down deep, scary rabbit holes. And those rabbit holes throughout time have put so many people in danger, and I'm genuinely just concerned for the fan base of Shane Dawson that consuming this content and going down these rabbit holes is really going to take them to a place where I genuinely fear for them and fear for the people that have to interact with them, because these rabbit holes can also inflict a lot of pain and misery on a lot of people out there, and that is just slightly concerning. It may seem like a reach, but I can't help but see the fact that there is a pipeline when it comes to these wild theories. And to be honest with you, I have had experience with people in the past that have gone down these rabbit holes, and it has made them into just completely different people that I do not want to speak to anymore, and I just would not want anybody to have that level of experience that I've had had, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys watching have had. But yes, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for coming along. Please like this video. Get it to 30,000 likes because, I don't know, I like likes. They're cool, you know? 30,000 likes and I'll be your new best buddy parasocially. I know 69 on Twitter. I never on Instagram. I never live on YouTube. I don't know why I hesitated there. I am a YouTuber apparently. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I'm probably going to see you in the next one. I don't know why I'm saying like something's going to happen to me. Nothing's going to happen to me. I promise. Hopefully. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Peace out. Bye. Bye. Bye.